Hey, I got a question from Shannon. She had some questions about FHA financing, and her question was really, can you take over payments on a property that has FHA financing? And my answer was, of course you can. You know, FHA loans, they're government-backed loans like VAs or USDAs. They're no different than any other financing, really. There are no special stipulations. It's not against the law to take them over. The thing to know about FHA is that a lot of times, most of them are taken out by people that don't have a big down payment. Typically, the down payment for an FHA is going to be 3.5%. And because of that, they're going to have mortgage insurance that is going to vary. It's going to be typically between 0.5%, 1% of the loan balance. So you can look for that to add, $50, $150 a month to the payment. So it might be a little bit harder to cash flow on these, but you can certainly take over the payments for them. Now, she had some follow-up questions. So instead of trying to just type those out and answer all of those, I just decided that I would answer them in a video for you and just share with everybody here. Now, her first follow-up question was, could I recommend a good third-party sub-2 servicing company? And she's talking about a mortgage servicing company. And a lot of investors use these, and we get questions about them all the time. But a servicing company, what they really do is once a month, they're going to take a check from your buyer, and they're going to deposit that in their bank account. They're going to write a check to the mortgage company, and they're going to write a check to you for the difference. For example, if your buyer pays $1,000 a month to you on the house that you sold to them with owner financing, and the underlying mortgage has a payment of $700, and you're expecting a $300 a month cash flow, the servicing company is going to get that $1,000 check from your buyer. They're going to mail a $700 check to the mortgage company, and they're going to send you a check for $300. Now, most of these servicing companies that I've seen are going to charge somewhere between $40 to as much as $100 a month to do this service. Is it worth it? I've never thought so, and I'll tell you why. Let's say the average one's about $60, $70 a month to do the servicing. You're paying somebody else to handle that for you. You've still got to handle the check when it comes into you. If you're smart, you're checking with the bank to make sure, either online or by calling, to make sure they got their payment and everything's okay. That's going to take you a little bit of time. Now, in the time that you spent doing that, you could have collected your check from your buyer, you could have written a check to the mortgage company and deposited the difference in your bank account. So, it's not a big deal when you've got one or two or three, but if you plan on doing this long term, you're going to look up in a couple, 3 years, you're going to have 30, 40, 50 properties, and you're paying somebody between 40 and $100 a month to do this. Now, again, let's go back to the example, $75 a piece. If you've got 30 properties and you're paying $75 a piece to get this service done, that's over $2,000 a month that you could be using for a VA or for a part-time assistant in your business that could do a lot more for you than handling 3 pieces of paper once a month. So it's just really something to think about. That's never been a selling point for me with my sellers. They never ask about third-party servicing because they don't know what it is. That's something we know about as investors. Some investors love it. They use it. That's okay. You do you. It's no problem. Do I think it's necessary? No. Her second question, if I close in a trust and then later want to refinance, will it be hard to do so if the property's in a trust? Well, if I buy subject to from my seller, I'm going to take title in a trust always. Now, if I decide down the road, maybe there's equity in the property and I want to pull that equity out and I want to refinance it in my own name. Now, remember, that's not going to be a sub-2 deal anymore. You're going to be carrying that debt in your own name, but that's a different question. But the question, would it be harder to refinance? No. The lender is probably, what they're going to ask you to do is deed that property from the trust to you, then you can refinance it, and then you can put it back in a trust if that's what you want to do. Just a couple of more pieces of paper, but will they still refinance it for you? Sure they will. Shouldn't be a problem. Her next question, I understand in deed of trust states when doing a sub-2, the buyer can give the seller a performance deed of trust. If this is the case, I'm in a mortgage state. Can I provide the seller with a performance mortgage? Absolutely, you can. As security for a seller that may be concerned about whether or not you're going to make payments, absolutely, you can give them a performance mortgage. Now, should you? I don't like to do that, and I'll tell you why. A lot of times people we buy from are in distress. They're getting a divorce, they're in foreclosure, they've got something else going on in their life, and a lot of times these people just disappear. Once we buy subject to, we may never see these people again. If they're sitting on a performance mortgage and your buyer's refinancing in 2 or 3 years, the title company is going to be looking for them to satisfy that thing. And what if they're nowhere to be found? It's going to hold your deal up. We almost always, without exception, if there's equity, we're going to give our seller a note. Okay, just a promissory note. They're not even going to record a mortgage. Now, if they're that concerned about us making the payments, we're going to direct them to check every month with the online banking to make sure the payment's been made, or we'll provide them with statements every so often to show them that the payment's been made. But if they're that worried about it, probably just not going to do the deal because they're uneasy about it for some reason. So a performance mortgage in a lot of cases, they really won't know what that means. And if you try to explain it to them, it would be difficult for them to understand. Can you do it? Of course you can. And if that's something you want to do, again, you do you. It's okay. We don't like to do that. Her next question is, where can I get a sub-2 addendum to a contract? Well, there's no magical subject to contract or form. And we tell people in the forum all the time, you can use any contract that you want. If you're dealing with a realtor, a lot of times they want you to use their contract. You can use any contract in the world. You just want to attach a clause or something we call sub-2 addendum. And really the only thing that is just a statement that says, this property is being purchased subject to the existing financing, a loan with Bank of America, insert the name of the bank here, whatever it may be, with account number XYZ123, with payments in the amount of $942.17. We'll be taking over the payments on that. We'll make those payments each and every month until either such time as we refinance or the loan may be fully amortized and paid in full. You want to put that in as a clause, as a special stipulation, or as an addendum to that contract, and they'll all work for you. So the next question, because the lender will receive notice of insurance change, how can I handle this being that the mortgage is FHA? Listen, FHA loans are no different than any other. If you know how to handle insurance properly, you're going to do it the same for every loan that you take over. Now, we did a podcast on how to handle insurance, and I'll put a link to that podcast below this video. We also did an article, step-by-step, how to handle insurance on a subject to, and I'll put a link to that as well at our website, Sub2Deals.com. So, Shannon, hope this answers your questions. Anybody else that had these same questions, hope this helps you. And if you have any more questions, just let me know, and I'll get those answered.